he would repeatedly say, if you want to rev the car or do revs and all that kind of stuff, go ahead. So when you're in high school, everybody says that prom is a huge thing. I personally didn't care. I wasn't even planning on going, but I felt like I probably should. So I ended up going. And as a car guy, I knew I needed to do something related to cars. First thing I thought of is we have this whole lineup thing at our prom where everybody just brought whatever they were driving and they lined up, got pictures in front of it and all that stuff. So I thought, hey, I gotta bring something cool. I had the Audi at the time, but I'm like, let's bring something a little bit cooler. So I start kind of going through my contacts, going through my head. Who do I know that would be willing to lend me something cool for the day, just for a few hours to take to the whole prom lineup thing? And then I remembered that there was somebody that I met couple years ago, actually, and then started talking to and became pretty good friends with. So a year prior to when my prom was, back in 2024, I met somebody who had a C8 Z06 for a photo shoot of a mutual friend, and we ended up talking, and during that shoot, he offered to let me drive the Z06. Now, at the time, I recently had gotten my license, and I've only had it for like a year or so, had my dad there with me, and he wasn't too fond of the idea, so I didn't end up doing it. However, I thought this might be a good opportunity to drive this car for the first time. So of course I shoot him a text. I'm like, hey, remember when you offered to let me drive the car a year ago? Well, what if I did that now? And he was like, sure, just let me know when. We meet up at some parking lot. He gives me the car. He's there with a buddy. So he ends up just going to do some shopping or something for a few hours while I have the car. And I take the car, and my whole mindset is it's not my car. I'm not going to beat on this car. It's got carbon rims, so whatever I do not curb those. Now, while he was walking me through everything about the car specifically, he would repeatedly say, if you want to rev the car or do revs and all that kind of stuff, go ahead. He showed me how to put in neutral while driving, which is two paddles both in, which is actually pretty cool. I don't know if every car does that. I know the Mustang doesn't do that. My Audi didn't do that, but the way that Chevy designed that was really cool, where it can just go in neutral while driving. And he's like, just rev it, do it. It's fun. So I ended up doing that in the future, but yeah, I took the car back home, had the top down, and then it started raining a bit. Now, luckily with the C8, you can put the top up and down at, it's either 15 or 25 miles an hour, but you can be going pretty quick and be able to put the top up and down. So didn't soak the interior of the car or anything, but got that top up. Now I pull up to this whole lineup thing with a bunch of cars on one of the first ones there. And as people are rolling in and as people are already there, they're all very confused on why I'm driving a C8 Z06, which at the time is relatively brand new for the Z06s. They've been out for a couple years, but everybody's confused by it because it's one of the few cool cars there that doesn't have temporary plates or rental plates or anything along that line. Now, of course, I did not try and pass it off as my own because it was not my own. And I just told them, I'm like, I'm grateful that I have these kind of connections just in the car scene from everything that I do. I do have an Audi S4 at home, of course, but I took this. Somebody's willing to lend it to me. It was an incredible opportunity. I'm not going to say no. So I made it happen. So I talked to a ton of people there, hung out for a little bit, gave a buddy of mine a ride in it as well while I had it, just for some experience. And it was just a really fun opportunity to be able to have that. Had to rush it back because I did not want to take that thing downtown and deal with parking and all that. So I gave it back to him, and I ended up taking my Audi downtown. Now, the actual prom portion was really, really boring and terrible in my opinion, but that's just not my kind of thing. The whole party thing isn't really for me. But what really was for me was when we did our prom photo shoot with an SVJ. Now, if you live in the general area that I do, you know of the infamous Darth SVJ with his matte black SVJ. That thing's insane, and I somehow was lucky enough to be able to communicate with him when he originally picked the car up within the first year or so of him owning it, and I talked to him, and we're like, yeah, we're cool. So I decided to reach out, and I'm like, hey, I want to do a prom photo shoot. Can I do that with the SVJ and a buddy of mine? He's like, sure, why not? I'm like, all right, cool. I'm going to get the photos with this car. At the time, I didn't have any intention of ever asking to borrow it for prom and drive it because I didn't really want to drive a $800,000 at the time, probably $1 million car. So we get there, we get everything set up, we get photos all around with Leon, who is willing enough to come out and do the photos for us. And we just talk a little bit, have a good time, and we take the photos. Now, of course, that is a absolute smash hit over at prom when everybody sees that we did photos with an SVJ. And they're like, who has that car? Who is that? What? So that's always funny. But what's not funny is kind of how much attention that it brought over to Darth SVJ. So a few weeks later, I meet him again at a car meet, and he tells me, yeah, people have reached out to me asking to borrow my car for prom now because you did the photos with it. And I'm like, that's insane. Like, they weren't just people he never knew, had no idea who they are, is texting him and asking, hey, can I borrow your car for prom? Not just for pictures, to drive it to prom. I told him that too. I'm like, I'm not insane enough to ask to borrow anything otherworldly like an SVJ just to drive it to prom, because the amount of liability that is stupid, especially for a 17, 18-year-old at the time. But yeah, that's the story of prom in the eyes of a car guy at the time. Cars are cool, actual parties pretty boring, and it's overrated. Have a good day.